Coming up on today's show,
we find out the mystery behind why Selfridges have installed spikes near its front doors.
do we drink too much sugar? We look into the dangers of having too many fizzy drinks.
And we take a look at all the action from FC United of Manchester's latest game.
Hello and welcome to Quays TV News. I'm Jamie Glover.
And I'm Kimberly Harrison.
Our top story this Tuesday afternoon. 2 teenagers have been detained by police on the suspicion of terrorist offences. A boy and girl, both aged 16 from Mosley and Tameside, are currently being investigated. Detectives from the Northwest Counter-Terrorism Unit continue to search the addresses at Hanover Street and Springmill Drive.
The English Defence League are set to march through Manchester city centre on the 7th of March with more than 500 activists expected to take part. Anti-fascist opponents have slammed the march and called it an insult to everyone. This comes days after 5 people were arrested during the EDL rally over the weekend in Oldham.
If you're a regular commuter on Manchester's trains, you could be seeing new carriages on your journey. In the next few years, replacement trains are being drafted in to cope with an increase in passengers. However, these trains aren't exactly brand new, with some of them being over 30 years old. Jim Scott is outside Manchester Piccadilly.
London Underground trains will be making their way up north to our region in the next few years, the Department for Transport has announced. So-called District Line D stock will be refurbished in line with an upgrade fit for our commuters. The new trains will have improved legroom, Wi-Fi, new seats and swanky LED lighting. However, will use dated 30-year-old trains. Some would say they aren't fit for purpose. Earlier on, I asked passengers travelling to Piccadilly their thoughts on the announcement.
It's fine, there's nothing wrong with that. The services are okay, and I think everything's okay.
Well, I don't think it's right, really. I mean, I think that it's always prioritised down in London, and you know, I think we shouldn't have to make do.
I can understand it because, like, there's a lot more commuters, I guess, around London, which I imagine all the money gets sucked into. But I think it just adds to that feeling that everything gets sucked into London and nobody else gets anything. And there's that sort of feeling like of unfairness, really. We all pay the same taxes, we all pay our fares.
It is, however, proving more unpopular with those in the rail industry. For example, Mike Cash, the General Secretary for the Rail Union, compared New York's way of disposing their old trains into the sea, opposed to Britain's way of dumping them onto the railways in the north. Last month it was revealed more provision for the train operator, Northern Rail, would be set to receive the cast-off carriages, while Southern Train Company Thameslink Line would receive 1,200 brand new carriages at the taxpayers' expense. Back to you in the studio.
Now, do we drink too many fizzy drinks? We're all aware that too much sugar is bad, but just how extreme are the health risks?
Lewis Smith has been speaking to a campaign encouraging people to stop pop.
Fizzy drinks. We're all aware that these sugary beverages aren't good for us. Just how much do we know about their health risks involved? The Give Up Loving Pop campaign, or GULP, is running roadshows around the northwest to educate the public in the dangers involved in too much fizz.
We have 40% of 10 and 11-year-olds overweight and obese in the northwest, or at least in Manchester, 39% in Liverpool. One of the contributory factors, not the only one obviously, is the amount of sugary drinks that people are having, and more awareness of that would really help.
There are also worries about the long-term risks.
There are concerns about association with heart disease, diabetes and some kinds of cancer as well.
The health risks behind fizzy drinks are well publicised, but the figures are still surprising. One 500ml bottle of cola can contain up to 7 teaspoons of sugar, whilst one can of energy drink can contain up to 11.5. With fresh orange juice containing up to 7, is there a healthy alternative?
People do ask about low sugar drinks, and that is an improvement certainly. So if you're going to make a change, that's a step in the right direction. But water, low fat milk would be better from my side.
GULP are handing out water bottles to encourage people to choose water over fizz. But they may still have some way to go to prevent Britain's sweet tooth from having a bitter ending. Lewis Smith, Quays TV News.
A homeless man who beds down each night close to Selfridges in Manchester invited the store's bosses to spend a night on the streets with him.
The invitation is part of a protest against spikes outside the shop, which have been labelled as anti-homeless. Tom Deegan is outside Selfridges.
So these spikes have caused controversy after one professor from the University of Manchester claimed these spikes to be inhumane. However, Selfridges have claimed that these spikes are just anti-smoking and anti-littering spikes after complaints from customers. Manchester City Council are keen to get ahead and speak to Selfridges about the matter of these spikes.
50 Shades of Grey premiered this weekend, with some cinemas showing the film a massive 34 times in a day.
Earlier, I spoke to our film buff Tom about the raunchy adaptation of E.L. James's novel. Tom, how did you find 50 Shades of Grey this weekend?
I actually quite enjoyed 50 Shades of Grey. It tells the story of Christian Grey and Anastasia Steele as they're brought into the world of BDSM. The problems with the film are the dialogue is terrible, the two main leads have no chemistry with each other, and it creates this awkward friction throughout the film, and it never really shakes that off. But that said, that just makes the film hilarious. For me, this wasn't an erotic thriller. It was a really funny comedy, an unintentional comedy, so the film fails on its own terms, but it was still entertaining. And as we spoke about earlier, the film is an experience.
Yeah, I do agree with that. There was people shouting out. I know a lot of the audience was talking through. Everyone was like on the edge of the seats for it.
Completely. It was far more like the Rocky Horror Show for me, in that this film is almost a cultural milestone. You have to go see 50 Shades of Grey. I mean, regardless of how bad it is. You know, the old woman sat next to me. She was loving it. You could tell, oh, go for it. There was so much to actually enjoy in just the experience of watching this film.
And especially the soundtrack.
The soundtrack was incredible, as I'm sure you'll agree. Looking so crazy right now.
Love it.
No, I really
Beyonce
enjoyed
there
it.
was fantastic.
Yeah, really, really good.
So would you advise people to go watch this film?
You know what? It isn't the best film. Let's be completely honest on that. But it's an experience. It's worth going to the cinema to see it. I really, really can't recommend it enough.
Thank you ever so much, Tom, for that, and I hope you go see the sequel as well. Thank you.
In 2013, the Quays Street set for Corrie finally closed its doors after 31 years. However, due to popular demand, the Rovers Return is set to reopen to the public. We sent Fazila Helling to find out what's in store for the pub's future.
It's one of the most famous pubs in British soap history, despite it being a work of fiction. The former Granada Studios, which has been used for tours, weddings and corporate events, is under a proposal to have a transformation. Manchester Town Hall and Allied London have struck a deal to transform the former studios into a creative village. Manchester Council suggests that the iconic parts of the backdrop, including the original Rovers Return, to be incorporated into the village project. A petition to keep the Rovers Return, which will be converted into a real pub, was launched and so far has 2,000 signatures. It may not be the last orders for the original.
FC United's attempt to go 13 league games unbeaten got off to the worst possible start when Marine's clever passing saw informed striker Tom Pearce score on just 4 minutes.
After one, ran all the way to Kidd and a good shot. Gets a rebound, Tom Pearce too. Oh, he took the rebound. Liam Brownhill.
United found a foothold in the game 10 minutes later when Craig Linfield latched onto Brownhill's sublime cross and headed home. FC equalised on the stroke of half-time when Marine failed to clear their lines and Dave Birch smashed the ball in.
Birch! Yeah! Get in there! Come on, Reds.
United kicked on in the second half and took the lead when Callum Byrne finished from Payne's cross.
Linfield, back post, Shelton Payne there again. Inside, Byrne! Get in there, Callum!
Free kick. Payne turned scorer when he finished coolly following a quick free kick by Byrne.
He's taking it quickly.
Payne, yes! 4-2!
Matt Wolfenden completed the route on 60 minutes to make the score 5-2 and move FC to 5th in the table.
What a finish! Wolfie, what a lovely finish!
As we all know, Kim likes to talk a lot, and because she's not going to speak for 24 hours, she's tried to nick my auto cue there. So anyway, it's my job sport, Kim, thank you. There was no shortage of goals across Manchester's non-league scene this weekend. In the conference, Altrincham battled to a 2-2 draw with Forest Green Rovers. Elsewhere, Chester won away at Lincoln and Macclesfield drew 1-1 with Southport. In the Conference North, Stalybridge Celtic suffered a 5-1 defeat at home to Brackley, and Stockport recorded a 2-0 win over struggling Hyde. In the Northern Premier, there were wins for Ashton United and FC United. Curzon and Ashton slipped to a 2-1 defeat at Rushall, and Trafford drew 1-1 away to Stourbridge. Finally, in the Northern Division, Droylsden lost 2-1 to Scarborough, while Mossley won 1-0 at home to Ossett Albion. At Moor Lane, Salford City kept their title charge going with a 2-0 win over New Mills, and Radcliffe Borough lost 2-1 at Spennymoor. That's all from me. Now over to Lois with the weather.
Hi there. As you can see, it's gloriously sunny out here today, and it will remain so for the rest of the day. It will have a high of 7 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow will be cloudy and will continue throughout the week. It will have a high of 9 degrees Celsius, and Friday will bring heavy rain. That will continue on into the weekend with a high of 10 degrees Celsius. It will remain slightly windy as it is now, and it will have spouts of sunshine over the weekend. Thank you very much. Back to you.